Hey everyone out there, vinyl community. Tony back with another video, and this is a Vinyl Tag 2024. Ron Walker, who has a great channel, put this out maybe a week ago, and I've been watching other people's channels doing it. It seems like it's a lot of fun. It gives us VCers that have channels almost a purpose, something to do, and something that has caught on. And I hope people enjoy the one I'm doing. I put it together during the course of last night and today. It took me quite some time because I want to illustrate my responses with the records I'm actually talking about, which isn't easy. There's a lot to go through. It's actually 20 questions that Ron suggested. And these are the questions that I pulled from another video. They may be off slightly, but I think the intent of the question is obvious when I go through that. And before I start, I want to thank everyone for watching, everyone for taking a half hour, 20 minutes or whatever to sit down and watch my new cure for insomnia. So like I said, I really enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun, and I bear with me because I think I have everything organized by the numbers. There's 20 questions, like I said. I'm going to go through the questions, and I'll show you the records and give you my response or my answer for this vinyl tag. And it's a pretty good challenge. It's actually a lot of fun because it makes a vinyl collector go through his collection, think about what was the last thing he listened to, who did he listen to most, what did he buy, what was the last record he bought, etc. And you'll see. So my favorite first question number one, drum roll, favorite 2023 purchase. And I'm pretty good. I'm pretty lucky, rather, and good at finding records and finding grails out in the wild. But my most favorite purchase last year, 2023, and by the way, Happy New Year. Hope 24 is a vinyl-filled year, vinyl safe year. Not a lot of scratches, not a lot of surface noise, and that's part of it. So keep those needles and records clean. But my first question is, and the first answer is this: Paranoid, Black Sabbath. It's in near mint condition, but what's good about this and what's my favorite about this is a Vertigo. It's actually a German Vertigo, but it's in superb condition, and there it is right there. This is a German Vertigo, but it's still, to me, it's wonderful. And I've done a short on it. I'll link it below, which just a short, just showing the swirl, the hypnotic swirl. And I think it's up to 3,000 hits or so. So it's pretty good. The last, number two is the last LP that you purchased in 2023. Now, I'm going to cheat. I purchased these records in the same day, two different record shops, same day. So I'm going to put them all up. So there's actually four of my last records that I bought. This is a great one here. Jim Carroll Band, the special edition, People Who Died, is on here. I love this album, and this is a special edition with outtakes and alternate tracks. The original was on Columbia, I believe, or Epic, and that was a single. So, last purchase. Here's another last purchase, which I haven't played yet. I believe it's the second Black Puma LP, Chronicles of a Diamond. And this is on a clear with purple splatter and red vinyl. I gave one of these to my brother-in-law for Christmas, and he opened it. This is one that I bought for a few people for gifts. Live at Maui, Hendrix. Every year I try to get the latest Hendrix release live, obviously, but these are really good. I think these are pressed at Analog Productions. This is a Walmart exclusive, which is the turquoise vinyl, but I think they're all pressed or generated by the Hendrix family, so they're all quality. And the last one for this batch is a Green Day Greatest Hits. And I don't have any Green Day. My wife likes Green Day. She just told me that when I bought it. And so this is their Greatest Hits. It's a double record. So I'm looking forward to playing this. So that's question 2. And question 3 is artists that release 2 or more LPs in the same calendar year. And, there's a lot of that. And I just, off the top of my head, I figured Elton John did. So when I went through his albums, Elton John released, I believe, Rock of the Westies. Let me see here, 1 second. Rock of the Westies, which is a pretty good album, and also Captain Fantastic, which is a fantastic album. Rock of the Westies was recorded at Caribou Studios up in Colorado. I'm not sure if Captain Fantastic was too, but I highly recommend Captain Fantastic before I would recommend Rock of the Westies. But Captain Fantastic has booklets in it. It's just it's just a great record. And that's 2 records, same calendar year, 1975. Next question up is, show an LP by a Manchester band. And there's quite a bit of bands that came out of Manchester. And I'm going to go through a few of those in a second when I locate them in my little collection here. Okay. Am I doing this? Okay. No, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. We are at number 4, that's a later one. Which decade is question 4? Which decade would you listen to if you only had listened to one decade? Which, they mean 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. That's a real tough one for me. I thought, and my heart says 70s, but logically, there's so much good stuff from the 60s that I have to choose the 60s. And why I'm choosing the 60s over the 70s is you have all that Blue Note jazz. You have all that great Louis Armstrong with Duke Ellington records. They believe they were recorded in the 60s. So much jazz. You have this guy, Sinatra. You have soundtracks, Sergeants 3, Sinatra, Davis, Lawford, Bishop, Dean Martin. This is the original soundtrack. You have the great concept record that Sinatra did. You have Monkees. You have Beatles. You have Stones. And the Beatles and the Stones is the reason I'm really leaning toward the 60s more so. Now, the Beatles didn't record in the 70s, but the solo Beatles did, the 4 splits, which we were lucky. We actually had maybe 4 Beatle records a year instead of just 1 a year, or 4 Beatle records every 2 years, whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm going with the 60s. And, of course, some of Elvis's great stuff was in the 60s. A lot of it was in the 50s, but this record's in the 60s, and it's one of my favorite Elvis records. This is an analog Productions 45 RPM reissue. So I'm going with the 60s, but my heart says 70s, but either way, 60s, 70s, that's a tough one. And the next one is what I thought was 4, but this is 5. Show an LP by a Manchester band. And there's so many great bands that came out of Manchester in the UK. And you have so many like Oasis and a lot of the more current bands from the 80s. But I picked a few here. I didn't just pick one. I picked a few. You have 10cc, which is a great record. This is a UK import. You have Bee Gees, which is a great record here with Lonely Days and Lonely Nights. If you pick up this record Lonely Days and Lonely Nights is worth the price of admission. It's just so well recorded. The piano is so well uh, recorded and taped. It sounds like a real piano on Lonely Days, Lonely Nights. Um, Here's another band, Hermits Hermits. This is another great sounding record. I believe this is MGM. MGM made some great recordings, and this record, it's just a great analog recording. This sounds really good. So I'm going with these three. Other bands from Manchester are the Hollies, Freddie and the Dreamers. I believe they have that Manchester vibe. So that's it for Manchester. Next one is my most listened to artist 2023. And again, I cheated. I'm pulling three artists for obvious reasons. The Rolling Stones, the new record came out, Hackney Diamonds, which is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing them this year. We're working on a plan to go with a whole crew and do a tailgate, everything out there at the New Jersey Meadowlands. So you got the Stones. Obviously, we have the Beatles now and then. And also another artist that I listened to a lot of this year, only because the pressing plan and pressing company of Analog Productions, Acoustic Sounds, are releasing UHQR versions of all the Steely Dan records. And this one is my last one, which I did a nice review on. This sounds fantastic. So, and, I'm listening to these as they come out. So that's Steely Dan. And as far as the Beatles and the Stones go, I got the red, and I have the red and the blue. And well, for me anyways, it's just my way of doing things and thinking. When the Stones come out with a new record, I go back and I listen to some of the catalogs. So I did listen to a lot of Stones this year. I have so many different pressings. So I pull pressings out over the holidays and listen to them. The next one up is show some 7-inch records, 45s, that you bought in 2023. Now, I bought a lot in 2023, a lot of 45s. I go to some thrift shops. I go to yard sales. I don't really buy 45s at a record store, and I don't really have the patience to look through them. But let me just add this: if you're looking for rare records, some of the rarest records are 45s. If you get acquainted with what you need to do and what you need to buy, it would really be worth your while. So a lot of times I'll take the extra half hour and go through 45s. There's a lot of junk, but once in a while you get some really cool stuff. So here's some stuff I picked up. This is a Four Seasons, Let's Hang On Phillips. This isn't the original sleeve. This sleeve is, I think, a generic sleeve, modern sound, but record's in really nice shape. And I put my Four Seasons record in for some of my watchers out there. They know who they are. They love the Four Seasons. Here's a really rare one, Bow Wow Wow, 45 UK import. I think I have 8 here instead of 7. Here's a great one, Nick Lowe, a double 45, which really sounds great. These are all, the ones I'm showing now are UK imports. They're all in immaculate condition. Here's a nice one, Joe Jackson picture sleeve from Night and Day. And that's the flip side of that. It has like etching on it. And this is a great one, The Clash. This is Train in Vain, Bank Robber. It's just a little EP. It's just fantastic. Here's another one which I really love, George Jones and Elvis Costello, Stranger in the House. Now, one of my favorite Elton John records are the Elton John Almost Blue record, when he did a lot of, it was all country and western standards. I believe he did a George Jones song on that. And A Drunk Can't Be a Man is on here with the very special guest, George Jones. And last but not least, another Clash that I thought you guys might want to see. Right there. The Cost of Living. I Fought the Law. It has a nice inner. And let's see here. And a nice inner there with some notes on it. UK pressing. Pretty cool. Okay, next question, which is question number 4. Question number 8. It's 4 music industry folks, people, etc., people in the business, artists, that you would love to have come to your dinner party. And, that's a tough one because there's so many that I would love to have come to my dinner party if I was going to throw a dinner party. But I went, logically I try to say who would tell the best stories, who would be the coolest to hang with. One person I was able to meet a few times in this list, and I know he's a really cool guy, and I'll point him out. Of course, I would want Robbie Robertson, who just passed away from the band, and Dylan's buddy. Robbie Robertson was a great storyteller. His book is an excellent memoir on his career, on his life. Another one I would want to pick, which is kind of odd for me to pick it, but when I thought about it, I thought Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren's there. This is with Utopia, one of his bands. But I thought Todd has done so much in the industry from the beginning in Philly to right up to today. He's doing tribute shows all over. I just saw him with some few friends a few years ago where he did a tribute to the Beatles, and comes out with guest stars similar to what Ringo Starr does. So Todd Rundgren would be great to have there, just to ask him what was it like to record this person, what was it like to produce this band. He was so instrumental in Meatloaf's "Bat Out of Hell." That alone is a story that you would want to hear. And of course, this guy never got to see him, but I would love to hang with Muddy Waters for a night, talking about drinking, maybe smoking some reefer with Muddy, if Muddy has the reefer. And Muddy Waters, he's up there looking at us right now. His stuff is still has impact on it. He has so much power. I just watched The Last Waltz during its anniversary last Thanksgiving, and he was a highlight of that film. If you haven't seen it, just watching Muddy there, and he wasn't in his prime. He was elderly. I think he only lived a few years beyond that Last Waltz, which was, I believe, 78 or so, but just amazing. And then we have the incomparable Tom Jones, and that's autographed. I met Tom a few times. He autographed this for me. I have a photo with Tom, or 2 photos with Tom. But he is so humble. He is such a cool person. He was so talked to me for a few minutes. Really, just a great guy, and a blue collar guy. I would love to sit down with these 4 people: Muddy, Robbie, Tom Jones, and Todd, and just have those people going through their stories for a few hours or whatever. So that's number 8. Number 9 is pick one person who sadly passed away. Well, we just mentioned one of them, which was Robbie Robertson. The other one who sadly most recently passed away was from Wings, and that's Denny Lane. And here's a Denny Lane autograph that he wrote to me. Hi, Tony. So got to see Denny Lane's solo act a few times, or once maybe, and really it was a shock to know that he was sick and he had recently passed away. Let me see here. If I could listen, this is a tough one too. Well, I think I switched up, but my VC channel discoveries in 2023, which means the channels that I've been digging and watching. Now, I watch a lot of channels as they pop up, So question here is my VC channels, discoveries, and name a couple. So I'm going to go with more than a couple. I'm leaving people out, and I apologize, but just going through some here that I watch quite a bit. They come up on my feed, and they also watch my channel as well. Kenny's Audiophile Review. I love Kenny's stuff. Norman Maslow, which is Mazzy. Flipside CT. Now, Flipside CT, he puts up documentaries on Stones albums that are mini movies. Like I just sit outside and listen to them without even the visuals. If you're able to watch them, the visuals are unbelievable. He spends so much time on it, and I'm going to try to link these people to this after I publish it. Richard Riley has a great channel. My friend Paul Scrabo, Excited Artists, and Paul's a Emmy Award-winning producer from NBC, and Paul has a channel called Excited Artists, and he puts up a lot of good stuff, a lot of comedic stuff, a lot of short films that he does. Just great, great things up. Excited Artists. Another one is obviously we all know and love Melinda Murphy. Melinda has a really huge channel, and she's nice enough to watch some of my stuff. So I just learned about Melinda this year, and I started watching her. And of course, big shout out to Rachel's Ghost. Rachel's Ghost is a great channel. She also broadcasts live in the morning, and you can jump on it and add to the conversation. And I want to thank Rachel because she put me on her show early on when I was a young VCer that didn't really even have any subscriptions at that time, which is only about a year ago or so. So thank you, Rachel. And a record, the next one is a record you bought as a teenager and as a teen. So, I could pick 1,000 I bought as a teen. Those were my record years. We had so much stuff coming out. I was in high school. You'd actually have to, and somehow you would use your little money that you got part-time or whatever to buy records, but you'd have to buy 20 records, 30 records a week just to keep up with what you heard on the radio. And here's a couple. I'm just going to go through two. Doors, LA Woman. This is an original. And, of course, a lot of, like I said, the Beatles solo records. I'm just pulling this one out, Venus and Mars. This is a gift from John. This is a Japanese import. But my original bought as a teenager. This is a Japanese Venus and Mars. So that's that question. Show some funk and soul. Now, I have a lot of funk and soul, and I'm going to show some funk and soul right now. Temptations, Masterpiece. The one song Masterpiece is worth, it's priceless. It's just great recording, and it's so cool. It just starts off slow and it explodes. It's just a great record. Temptations, Masterpiece. Of course, I had to play some Jackson 5. I believe this is their first record. Jackson 5, because Diana Ross kind of like discovered them and brought them out. So Michael Jackson, old guys, some OJs, Backstabbers. This is a great sounding record. This has Love Train and Backstabbers. Great record on, I believe it's on the Philly Sound, Epic. Here's a good one that I pulled. It's not the one that most people see. This is a rare one. It's Superfly TNT. This is a sequel to Superfly with Ron O'Neal. It's a great funk record. Of course, the original is the classic Curtis Mayfield, and that is unsurpassed. So that's this one. It's a little bit of funk. And this one I love. A lot of people don't know about this, but Marvin Gaye, the soundtrack to Trouble Man. All these black exploitation films from the 70s, I guess 70s and maybe right into the 80s or the 70s, just had some great soundtracks. Isaac Hayes did a few. All the Jim Brown music soundtracks were unbelievable. But this is one of my favorites, Trouble Man. If you get this, the main theme, Trouble Man, Miss T stands for trouble. Theme from Trouble Man. They call There Goes Mr. T. It's just a great record. This is a die-cast cover. So that's my funk. Next one up is show a record everyone has and one no one has. And again, I cheated. I did a couple. A record that everyone I think have. We don't know, but just on sales and what I see. Whipped Cream and Other Delights, obviously. This might be a mono version. Put this on there for before. And this is still in shrink. This is the original inner. And of course, Rumors. This is a reissue, but I have the original Rumors. And everyone has these records, as everyone has a lot of people showing Thriller or Hotel California, Eagles' Greatest Hits. Now these are records that I'm sure someone has, but they're pretty rare. This one, The Warrior, EP Nobia. It's all African music. It's fantastic. This is one I was very happy to find right there. This one, The Sound of Jazz. This has been reissued by Analog Productions, but this is an original 6-eye. And what's unique about this, it's still sealed in the teardrops inner. So that record is sealed. That record has never been played. The Sound of Jazz, or whatever condition it's in the sleeve. This one, not too many people will have. The Best and Worst of Henny Youngman, only because this is autographed. To Ed, Henny Youngman. And this was a great one. If you could find this on eBay, I recommend it. Mojo presents Return to the Dark Side of the Moon. This is a tribute to Dark Side of the Moon. Mojo, that magazine from the UK, every issue has a CD attached to it, which is indicative of what's inside the the content of the book of the magazine. It comes out monthly, I believe. Maybe buy it, maybe 8 times a year or every month. I'm not sure, but on a few occasions they actually added a record instead of a CD. Now I have one that's Dylan, and I have one that's Beach Boys, and I think there might be one other that I know about. But this is really cool. It's a tribute to Dark Side of the Moon, Return to the Dark Side of the Moon. This has on it Gallop, Speak to Me, One Broken Garden, Breathe, The Oscillation, On the Run, Wolf People do Time, The Last Hurrah, The Great Gig in the Sky, The Pineapple Thief performs Money, Doug Paisley does Us and Them, Matt Berry performs Any Color You Like, Neville Shelley, Brain Damage, and Of Arrow Hill is Eclipse. So I don't think a lot of folks have these. I'm sure they're out there. But if you do, let me know. And I think these are pretty rare. I know there's the Mojo might be the most one out there, because I'm not sure how many copies were sold by Mojo. Okay, so we're at 15. We're almost done. Show a great female artist you bought in 2023. Well, this was an actual Christmas present. And this is from Big John. He gave me a couple of Aretha Franklin. But this is a great album. This was an original 6-eye wave. And this is on Music Matters. But I heard this. This is a fantastic reissue. So thank you. That's my female artist 2023. And this is a cool one. This was hard to decide on. Where are we here? Pick a favorite video that you produced on your video channel. My channel, again, is Tony's LPs Are Us. As you can see, I now have a little metal sign that my daughter-in-law got me, my grandchildren got me for Christmas, which was really cool. And next to it is a picture of the record store I used to work in, probably one of the only pictures in existence from the 70s of Vogel's Records. But so my favorite is only because of the notoriety it's gotten, and that was How I Ruined My UHQR Kind of Blue 45 RPM, or I believe that's, I think it was a 45 RPM or 33. I'm not sure what the first issue was of that. But I dropped it on my turntable, put a big scratch in the last track on I think side 2. And that's something, it's a favorite video only because I put that up. It's like an 8-minute video. I'll link it. And I think it's up to like 13,000 hits. And for me, that's a lot. A small channel, and 13,000 is great. So thanks for everyone for watching that one. So that's my favorite, only because of the response. Show a classic LP from the 90s. And believe it or not, I don't have a lot of LPs from the 90s. I went through my collection, and there's only a few bands that I was actually buying in the 90s. U2 and maybe some Police and stuff like that. So I pulled out a reissue of this U2 album right there, Uptown Baby. This is a reissue. I don't have the original. I think the original goes for big bucks, so kind of cheating in that. But that's a 90s record. Let me see here. Okay, show an album. This is number 18. We're almost done. Please bear with me. I'm really enjoying this. And again, thanks for watching. If you are still watching, we're up to a half hour already, so I'm going to get this going soon. But thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe if you're still attached to me. Now, show an album cover you wish you could walk on. Now, my first inclination was to do Abbey Road and wish I could walk with the lads. And I did walk Abbey Road. With 4 guys. We went on a James Bond tour with Twine Tours, and we took a side trip with some of my friends, and we did it. I was Paul. I had no shoes on, walked across Abbey Road, got some great photos, had the pose for where he has his cigarette. The only thing we didn't have was a VW bus that said 28F, I guess. But I couldn't do that because I think that's sacrilegious. You cannot walk with those guys on Abbey Road. So I would not walk onto that record, but that was my first thought. Now, this one I thought about because I looked through some of my stuff. This one I would love to walk in. Little Richard's Greatest Recordings, and I would love to walk in on the gatefold. Right there. That's Little Richard in the 50s with his band. And they're like cooking, man. They're cooking. Ready, Teddy, Rip It Up, Tutti Frutti. I would love to walk onto that stage just so I could be there, which is my second, which I could walk on just so I could be there. And that's one. Sinatra at the Sands, Count Basie, and Quincy Jones, Q, doing the orchestrations with the orchestra. Just imagine being on this album, able to hear from the Wings. I believe this is 66, one of the best live recordings you could find. There's also a reissues on this, I believe, Acoustic Sounds maybe, or MoFi. If they did the reissue, this is an original. There's mono and stereo. This is a stereo. But I wish I could walk onto those. And we're almost done. Number 19, any LP or name an LP that can be considered a greatest hits album. Now, there's a lot of those. Any Beatle record, perhaps, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper. They could be considered the Cars' first album, Boston. But what I picked was Machine Head. I play this all the time. This is an original. There's the inner. I play this all the time, and that maybe 5 tracks of this or 6 tracks. They're to me, they're great. It could be considered greatest hits. If you don't have Machine Head, go out and find it. Next one up, which is number 20. This is a good one, and it's hard for me to believe, but it says pick an LP that turns 50 years old in 2024. So that's any LP that has come out in 74. Hard to believe that 1974 is 50 years ago. And I remember seeing a sticker or from last year that said, "Friends don't tell friends that 1973 is 50 years ago," and I don't want to do that here. So a lot of great records, of course, in '74. Kraftwerk, Autobahn. Just so many. I could put 100 up, but I picked a couple here. Again, I didn't pick one. I picked two, and that's one of my favorites. I play this all the time. Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. This is also where the studio Criterion, I believe it is, where they record it. And 461 is a studio. I believe the Bee Gees also did a lot of their funk disco stuff there too. It's a great album. And last but not least, Dogs, David Bowie, very pivotal album. Gold Dynaflex right there. Sounds great. And this is an original. I've had this since it came out. And it's just hard to believe that that's 50 years old. So I'm going through my questions, make sure I didn't miss anything, because this is a lot to do without a producer. But that's it. So hope you like this. This is my contributing Vinyl Tag 2024, my contribution. I want to thank Mr. Walker for putting this challenge up. And thanks a lot. Keep rocking. Stay safe. And, one other question that the question that just reminded me was that I missed on my list. I must have skipped it over. It's what country, this is a question that was in, I don't know, I missed it, but like I said, I wrote everything down. But the last question is, from what if you had one country you could listen to music from, which country would it be? It's a very important question and very difficult to answer. If you answer UK, you're not hearing a lot of the obviously you're not hearing the American bands, you're not hearing country, you're not hearing Sinatra, you're not hearing Louis. But if you mention the US and you don't mention UK, you're not hearing Beatles, you're not hearing Stones, you're not hearing Bowie. But this is a tough one because it's kind of contradictory to some of my other answers, but I'm going with the UK. I wore the London shirt. I'm going with the UK because I cannot go through the rest of my life without hearing the Beatles, without hearing the Stones, without hearing 10cc, without hearing the Hollies, without hearing 10 Years After, without hearing Pink Floyd. So that's where I'm at. So that question I missed. I just thought about it because I saw the shirt. So I would go with UK. And that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. So, all right, everyone. Thanks a lot for checking in. And sorry this took so long, but I really wanted to show you as many of my LPs as possible based on this Vinyl Tag 2024. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. Keep rocking. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.